Alright, so I know I'm quite late on this video, but here it is, Chapter 2, what you need to know about it, how is it similar to Chapter 1, and we're going to talk about everything from the vendor, the menus, and all that, just into it, the actual missions, and what's kind of the best ways to approach doing some of the things that you need to do for some of the bounties. Getting mutation samples, I'll talk about that briefly just because it is still important, and then the tokens, we're all going to cover that today. So let's get into it. Alright, so I'm just going to cover a little bit about the vendor here. We have the Hunter's Crossbow and the Ballista, which are two new unique ranged weapons. Basically, the gimmicks with the crossbow and the bow is that they use an alternate ammo, which you can only get from Shen Xiu. You can buy it from her, and you can get it from doing her missions, actually. But the bow, when you fully charge it up, you release it, it does extra damage. And with the Hunter's Crossbow, when you're in parkour shot, those shots will stun the enemies you're shooting at. You can see here there's also two new melee weapons. You can hold to charge, and one of them will explode. That's the Basher. And the other one, which name I forget right now, is basically just you charge up a meter and you can also stun your enemies with a heavy attack. We have a bunch of consumable and accessories here. We have the exclusive arrows and bolts, which I was talking about. They're listed in here. You can buy just regular ammo, elemental ammo, and even the infected ammo to turn humans into virals. Stamina packs, boosters, all that stuff, and the new remote controlled trap mine. I might have a review going up on that, but from what I can guess from now, I'll say is that C4 is probably just going to be better. And laying traps, like, it's, again, I don't really know anybody who plays like that. I don't play like that, so it's not that really that useful. Now, in this video, I also wanted to cover what they updated to Harper. So they added this new weapon called the Chino Arashi, or Kino Arashi. And on critical hits, it's going to apply electric and bleed. And he also has these night vision potions, which I don't think are going to be that useful at all. You have a flashlight for a reason. But yeah, you can also just use the survivor sense to kind of help you find and navigate those dark areas as it like outlines all the walls. But yeah, you can get those if you need. And while we're here, I'm just going to segue into talking about the similarities between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 and how kind of some parts are copy and pasted. So the way the chapters work is it is expected that they are very similar and to be quote unquote copy and pasted, and it's not a bad thing. So basically what this means is that this is a guess for Chapter 3, is that they're all going to share mutation samples and tokens. So they're all going to have these two currency types, and that's how you buy all the stuff from the vendor. You level up your agent by doing bounties, you get tokens from leveling up, and you unlock stuff to buy in the vendor from leveling up. So just to sum it up, the way the whole system works is you get bounties to level up to get tokens, you level up to unlock stuff, and you buy stuff and get all the rewards by either doing missions or just buying it from the vendor. And yeah, missions are also a similarity. You have a regular mission and an elite mission, which both require an entry fee. You buy it, you get an attempt, and you can run the mission, an easier version or a harder mission, obviously. And you get a token for the hard mission, and just some various rewards and goods for completing the normal mission. And as well for these missions is the normal mission and the hard mission will share the same, like it's the exact same mission except one's just harder, and you also have a predetermined loadout for the elite mission, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on if you're that far into the game or not. Like if you're in the end game, obviously you'd want to use your own stuff, but if you're not, great to have a predetermined loadout. It'll help you out quite a bit. And I also noticed that they changed how difficult the elite mission was for Harper. It's much more doable now. Like I made a full video pretty much complaining about the difficulty of it and how I'd given it so many attempts and wasn't able to do it. And it wasn't an effective way to farm the tokens, and the only thing other than that to get tokens was to do bounties. But enough about that. I pretty much just had to explain the thumbnail there. But yeah, now you understand the similarities. And I guess it'll probably be the same for the rest of the chapters for Dying Light 2. Okay, so getting into the actual content of what's new about the Shen Xiu in Chapter 2 DLC here, we have these new banshees. They're called the hags, and they glow bright green when you track them in your survivor sense. You also saw earlier it popped out of what is called a hag track, and you'll become quite familiar with those. And when you're in the free roam environment, we'll take you through a whole thing here. Also, just before we do that, I wanted to mention that these bright green, orange glowing guys are called plague bearers. You kill them and they will deploy this sort of green mist gas from their bodies, and they will turn humans into virals, and you can also die pretty quickly if you stand in this gas. 5 seconds and your immunity is pretty much just drained, so stay out of that. But back to these little tracks here. You search them and you can get anywhere. I've seen 130 to right there 269 samples. You should also be looting these green guys for their samples as well. They give you around 50, so it's always worth it to do that as well. So yeah, we talked about the tracks and these plague bears and the hags. These are the main sort of things you're going to be dealing with when you're doing bounties and also in the missions. You're going to be dealing with them quite a bit. And yes, they are pretty good for mutation samples. Of course, you're going to be doing them as soon as you see them pop up. You get some samples, progress for your bounties, and they're not that hard either. Here, I just wanted to show an example of me just finishing out a bounty where I had to headshot 10 people, hunt 10 people with headshots while in midair to level up Shen Xiu for level 2 by completing that bounty. And you can see there you get a hunter's token for doing so. So it works the exact same way as Harper. Most are familiar with how that works. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the missions now. You can see here this also works exactly the same as Harper. I believe the prices are the same as well at 300 and 600 samples for the regular and elite mission tickets respectively. See here, this is the description of the elite chapter mission. Equipped with a predetermined loadout in 8 minutes 20 seconds, which we're going to get into this mission and show you some gameplay. I think this is actually pretty easy. The normal mission, you have an infinite time limit, so this one's pretty easy. I've honestly have no idea how hard the elite mission is. I don't imagine it being too hard. It says in the description that the previous nest that we found was just like basically the nest mutated and it got a harder, so maybe that just means the final nest part where you track down the hag is harder. But when you're in this main metro, you can pretty much just run away from all the zombies. I was a little scared to see volatiles at first, but the way this mission works, I'll break it down for you right now, is you follow these green little glow sticks and these UV lit areas. You go into a UV lit area, you're completely safe from all the zombies, and you just have to face off against a few renegades. Now, a couple of them will be plague bears, that's pretty much a guarantee, but they're no problem at all. They're not that hard to kill. It's just a regular enemy. Stay clear of the gas when you kill them, and heck, you'll even stun some of the renegades and knock them down into the whole turning process, and you can just get an easy kill on them. And I'm just using the crossbow here, best weapon in the game, to make this a piece of cake. But yeah, you can see right here in this room, I'm in a UV lit area. No zombies can get to me. You just have to search 5 of these hag tracks around the metro station, and the location of the hag's nest is revealed. And I'm going to help you out a lot here. 2 of these hag tracks are in the metro station. You're going to see the different setting change, but 2 of them are in the metro station, meaning before you descend down into where it's like if you've done a metro station to unlock a fast travel before, you know there's the main metro and you go down into where you activate the generators. So there's 2 in the metro station and 3 down where the generators are. I could be wrong on this because I've only done this mission twice, but both times I've found 2 in the metro and 3 in the bottom. Now I'm going to stop saying that because you've heard it a million times already. And we're going to talk about this bottom part. So you saw there I just descended down the escalator where that drape is that says God is dead. And you'll start descending down to where the generators are. And something really important to note here as well is that the map is exactly the same each time you replay this mission. And this is again also just for the first mission. I have not played the elite mission. I do apologize for not having any information available on that, but you could just look up another video. I'm sure there's plenty of other good guides by other good YouTubers on that elite mission. But you see here, it's exactly the same as the metro station for unlocking a fast travel. You descend down into this little safe area with all the UV lamps. There's plenty of UV light in this mission, and with infinite time, there should be no reason you shouldn't be able to do this on your first try. I did actually fail this on my first try. You'll see later. We're gonna save that for later. But yes, while we're down here, there's these little glow sticks that are gonna kind of lead you in the right way. But what you're looking for is the UV light. So you just saw there previously at the top of my screen there was some UV light. So that's what you're looking for. So basically there's going to be 3 rooms filled with UV light for the entrance to block off all the zombies, and you just fight against renegades. It's the exact same thing 3 times over while you're down here. This is one of those UV lit rooms, so you go in, the UV the UV light is covering the entrance, and you just face down against these renegades. There's 3 plague bearers here, and just 2 regular guys. Just kill them, and there'll be a hag track near the back of the room. So you just gotta rinse and repeat this process 5 times, tracking down a UV room, killing the renegades, and searching the hag tracks. Now once this is all said and done, your map is going to update and your objective is going to update, and it's going to say go to the nest entrance, where you'll just follow this blue marker. And this is kind of weird, but it's going to take you to a portal pretty much. You walk into this light and it teleports you to an interior from the final mission of the game. Obviously I'm not going to spoil that, but yeah, it is the interior from there. So I don't know, if you don't want to see that, then don't look. If you really care, I'll just let you know right now. But here we are, teleport, and we're inside the nest, the hag's nest. Now this kind of caught me off guard, but it's a bunch of renegades in here, which doesn't really make sense. So you're killing a bunch of renegades, and then there's just a hag running around. Obviously, again, some of these guys are going to be plague bearers. Not too big of a threat, though, as well, as you've probably learned throughout watching this whole video. The hag, you can just focus it down. If you have any ranged weapon you want, it could even be throwing knives. If you kill this, you win. So you can just focus it down if you want, or you can just take out all the renegades. I don't believe they infinitely respawn, because I just targeted the hag right away and killed it before they even had a chance to. But yeah, like this thing gets lasered, especially with the crossbow, and it's dead. And you get quite a bit of stuff. I mean, look on the right. And as you can see, you profit 300 mutation samples from that, and you get a bunch of valuables which you can sell for money. And if you know me, if you watched a lot of my videos, you know I don't really value money that much in this game. I have 800,000, and especially in the end game, it's not really that useful. So I wouldn't recommend prioritizing grinding money or anything, or spending your tokens and mutation samples on buying the valuables that are available to buy from the vendors. It's just not that worth it, in my opinion. Of course, you can do with your tokens and samples with what you want, but yeah, that'll be the end of this video. Got a whole 13-minute video of information on this chapter. I definitely think it's a lot better than chapter 1, a lot more cooler, if you will. More stuff to earn, and like new enemies, which is pretty cool. I know chapter 1 gave you the volatile tyrants, but I'll leave you with this stupid death which I talked about earlier, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.